We begin this episode with seeing Dr. McPherson teach her class. She compliments a student on her blouse and begins to flirtatiously ask what's some of her favorite things about the mascara. As the student begins to explain her interest in all things the mascara, Professor McPherson begins to yawn out of boredom and tells the students they're forgetting one thing and yells, "Lesbians!" I don't know what's going on, but this is not the same woman that we saw in the previous episode. While this is happening, it's revealed that Flag and Frankenstein are spying on the professor. They realize something seems off and decide to search her home to learn more about her. They notice the campus students looking at them, and Frankenstein acts like he lost his contact lens, as if they're not staring at him because he's a big-ass monster peeking in the window of the classroom. He and Rick begin to leave. The Creature Commandos arrive in Pokolistan and are greeted by the princess's head guard, Alexei. He tells the bride he didn't expect for them to be back so soon, and says Pokolistan was relatively a peaceful country until they opened up communications with the Americans. The bride explains they're simply there to protect the princess and gets into the vehicle. Rick, Flag, and Frankenstein break into the professor's home. Frankenstein sees a woman walking a cat on a leash and sees it as a bad omen. He tells Rick Flag he knows these things because he lived with a gypsy woman who was deep into the occult. I know he's a stalker, but Frankenstein is quite hilarious. We get a flashback and we see Frankenstein ended up in a lake after his fight with the bride. The gypsy woman and her dog find an unconscious Frankenstein and take him home. She tends to his wounds and allows him to rest. We cut back to the current day. Rick and Frankenstein search through the professor's home, and Rick discovers the professor's lifeless body in a room. They see the imposter pull up to the home. He calls the princess again and tells her the commandos are on their way to kill her, and instructs her to leave the castle. Frankenstein asks him why he didn't mention good things about him. Rick tells him to hide, and Frankenstein gets behind a lamp. Rick asks him, "Are you serious?" Frankenstein says, "I really don't give a shit at this point." Rick and Frankenstein are the duo I didn't know I needed. We get another flashback and we see Frankenstein hunts for dinner. He brings back a duck and tells the gypsy woman to cook and clean it. He seems to be transfixed on a rifle he's holding and begins to express how he becomes one with a piece of artillery when he's hunting. The old woman appears to be happy to have company. We cut back to current day as Alexei is driving our team of monsters to the castle. He receives a call, clearly tipping him off that the Creature Commandos plan to assassinate the princess. He tells them there's traffic and he must take an alternate route. While hiding, Rick and Frank see that the imposter is Clayface and try to sneak out. However, Clayface was 2 steps ahead and captured them. Simultaneously, we see that the commandos get ambushed by the princess's guards. This is the moment for the bride and Dr. Phosphorus to shine, and they completely laid these soldiers to rest. Dr. Phosphorus even takes off his clothes and burns through a tank and deletes everyone in it. Our team of monsters get separated during the chaos, and we see that Nina Mazursky is hiding in an abandoned building. We see the bride searching for her, but Princess Rostovic's forces get the upper hand, and it looks like the Creature Commandos have been captured. I wonder if Amanda ordering the assassination of the princess will be one of many events that will turn the princess evil. Next, we see Rick and Frankenstein in a brawl with Clayface. They manage to defeat Clayface by electrocuting him, but Rick is badly injured. Frankenstein holds Rick's nearly lifeless body and selfishly asks him if the bride has mentioned him. Frankenstein is a damn narcissist. We get our final flashback. Frankenstein prepares to leave the old gypsy woman. She begs him not to leave and tells him the bride doesn't love him. He refuses to listen to the truth. She continues to plead with him and tells him she can't be alone. He tells her he would never leave her alone. As she's crying, Frankenstein comes up behind her and beats her to death with an iron pot. Frankenstein is a horrible person. He walks off into the sunset with her dog, and the episode fades to black. This was another interesting episode, but is admittedly my least favorite. I personally wasn't interested in Frankenstein's backstory, and I thought what he did to the old woman was quite cruel. It was awesome seeing the DC use Clayface and seeing him nearly defeat Rick and Frankenstein. This shows how overwhelming of a foe he could be. I do wonder why he targeted Dr. McPherson. Is he working for Cersei, or are both villains working for someone we haven't seen yet? The battle between the Creature Commandos and Princess Rostovic's armed forces was awesome. The episode moved the story along, but also felt like a filler episode. However, I'm interested in seeing where the story goes from here. I rate this episode a B-. If you like this review, please like, comment, share, and subscribe.